absolutely phenomenal. My neighbour next door, Chris, he had come in and helped me cut him down. And we seen a little rush of colour coming into his face. And he says, right, Shirley, give him mouth to mouth and I'll pump at his heart. So that's what we done. And I think it was only about 2 minutes later when the police came. And my house was overcrowded with police. The paramedics, absolutely everybody was there. They were like a close friend to us. They comforted us.
They were trying to save your son's life. They were working
They
on...
were trying to save my son's life. They did get a pulse. They did get a pulse. And they could hear a little heart, but it just kept fading. It just kept going. And that's when they come down and says, if we save him, if we can get his heartbeat, he will be a vegetable the rest of his life. And I couldn't let that happen to any parent or any father, mother, brother or sister. And that was the last of my son. And I just wish if anybody could hear this, that they could even just stop. I was speaking to one of his wee friends on the phone this morning. They had phoned me. They have been so, so good. And I said to him, son, if you thought or respectively in any one way you would stop even smoking the dope, because that's where it leads to.
This is Mephedrone that...
Yes, but...
got him to this...
Yes,
got him.
And he says, Shirley, we have all stopped. He says, we are finished with it.
Shirley, what age was your son when he died?
My son at the moment was 17. He will be 18 on the 14th of April.
And when did this happen, Shirley?
Monday the 15th.
Only a few days ago.
A few days ago, yeah. He was a very, very loving child. We have spoken to many of his friends and many of the parents of his friends who has comforted his father and myself. They seen the most beautiful, loving, bubbly child. He was very outgoing. This, to me, was his way of taking his weakness away. He knew he was so depressed and he knew he couldn't get out of this Mephedrone because it was taking him further and further and further down. It's a killer. There is absolutely no way out. Once you take it, you keep taking it because you think it's going to make you better, and it just takes you further and further and further down.
Shirley, you have just buried your 17-year-old son. What do you say directly to the retailers? Some of them are major retailers who are selling Mephedrone today.
They need to be ashamed of themselves. They need to be ashamed of themselves, because how are they going to feel if some other retailer gives that to their own child? How they're going to feel. And see what I walked into in my house on my own, to see a 17-year-old child hanging from his own attic in his own home. They need to be ashamed of themselves. And I just hope, I wouldn't wish it upon anybody, but I just feel as though it should have been one of theirs and not mine.
It is not an illegal substance. It is legal.
No, it's not.
And it can be used as a plant feed.
Yes, that's quite correct.
But many of these shops will be all too aware of what it's also being used for, Shirley.
Yes. They all know what it's for, and they all know the damage that it can do. But it's not stopping them. All what they're looking is, it's money. It's money in my pocket. If they're stupid enough to take it, I'll sell it. It needs to be stopped. The police service, somebody, the government, doctors, this needs to go further. Because we know at the end of the day, if we do stop this, they'll change it and bring it out as another substance.
We have also, Shirley, been talking on the programme yesterday about this as an opportunity for politicians in Northern Ireland to show leadership
Yeah.
and to show what they can do to literally save lives.
Yes.
You can play a very, very powerful role this morning. Sadly, you're in a unique position.
Yeah.
What direct message do you send to the politicians?
They need to think about the wrong things. They need they're too worried about sorting stupid things out, sorting new rules out, sorting this out and sorting that, the other out, when they know in their own heart of hearts we have got a serious, serious problem on our hands.
What do you need them to do?
Put a stop. I don't care what kind of drug it is. They need to put this to a stop. Because it's not going to end, Stephen. This is not going to end. Lee's not going to be the last. There's going to be hundreds and maybe thousands of children taking their lives. If any parent is listening to this, any signs of abnormality in a child between attitude, the way they carry on, eating. I mean, Lee never ate for days and days and days, and then he'd come back in and he would eat the house out of house and home. He just cleaned the whole house out. But the weight loss, mood swings, so many trivial little things, but they all add up.
What are you going to do now, Shirley, you and your husband? Because this is...
I don't know how we're going to get on with our lives. I really, really don't. And I don't know where I've got the strength from. I really don't. But if I thought this would save a handful of children, knowing what this can do, my son hasn't died in vain.
I don't know how you walked up those stairs.
I don't. I give my son mouth to mouth resuscitation. I sit back and say to myself, how did you do that? Because you always say, when you see things on TV, how could any parent do that? I couldn't do that. I'd be a nervous wreck. It was like an instant reaction. You would do anything for your children. Well, if you would do anything for your children, you would help them sort them out now before it's too late. And that will haunt me the rest of my life. That will haunt me the rest of my life.
This is my last question to you, Shirley. Can you tell me in your words how dangerous you feel Mephedrone is? Describe it to me, and from your heart.
They call it a killer, but I would call it a hanger. I would call it a hanger. To me, you hear of people injecting heroin. You hear of people getting knocked down. To me, it's beyond that. It is seriously beyond that. It takes children into an evil hole that they can't get out of. There is no way out. To me, it's putting children into a coffin with a closed lid.
Well, that's the interview that we conducted after yesterday's show. I don't really know what to say. The right thing for me is just to say thank you so much to Shirley and her family for sharing that very personal story with me and therefore with you. And it took an immense amount of bravery. And Shirley, I know you'll be listening to this today. Thank you so much. And I know that you said during the interview that the reason you were doing it is to stop other children taking their lives and to stop other families going through what you have gone through. And thank you so much for doing so.